After being sworn in as the newest governor of Virginia on Saturday, Glenn Youngkin has come out with a series of executive orders, two of which have been getting a lot of attention lately. Those being his bans on critical race theory being taught in public schools, as well as his ban on mask mandates in public schools. Strike one on critical race theory. It's not even a thing in public schools to begin with. Strike two on the mask mandates. I thought you were for small government. What you're doing is the epitome of big government. Now, I want to give a little bit of a pass on that second one because he went out and explained why he had that executive order passed. And it was because he wanted, in his words, he wanted to give the schools 8 days. Those are his words, 8 days to give the schools time to listen to the parents. And if the parents voted to keep the mask mandate in place, then they could do it. Because, see, Youngkin's whole thing during the campaign was he was going to put the children's education in the hands of the parents because he thought, well, parents know best. Not always. Not always, dude. If a father's an alcoholic and beating their kid, does that father still know best? I mean, if a parent thinks that the Confederacy should have won the Civil War and that the Union's holding them hostage still and that we should start a civil war again, do you think they should teach their kids that one? And the other thing is, he went on Fox News in an interview and said that, yes, we will teach history, the good and the bad. Will you now? I wonder what form that history is going to take. My bet is because, let's face it, Republicans are just all rah-rah American exceptionalism. So what my guess is what he's going to try to do is find a way to make sure teachers are teaching students all good about America and leave out anything bad, anything that makes us look bad. Glenn, you're messing up here big time. Number one, you put a ban on something that isn't an issue in the first place. Number two, you're effectively siding with the pandemic. And you're telling children, I don't care if you die of COVID. Or telling the parents, if you want your children to die of COVID, you should do that. You know, at least we'll have freedom. Oh my God. Look, honestly, I think this is really all just pandering to the lowest IQ of the Republican base on his part, because that's who he was really preaching to begin with. You know, he got Donald Trump's endorsement, but he didn't embrace Trump the way certain other people did. You know, he's not, at least from what I can see so far, and I'm praying I'm not wrong, he just seems like he's not the bootlicking sycophant to Trump that some others are, like Lindsey Graham or Mo Brooks or Tuberville or Marjorie Taylor Greene or someone like that. So I hope he does better here, but these two issues, he's already got 2 strikes on his record so far, and he was a political neophyte to begin with when he first got sworn in. So let's give him a little time still, but he hasn't been governor for a minute, and he's already screwing things up. Now, having said that, there is a bit of hope in here with this executive order of the mask ban mandates because Virginia schools have basically come out and given Youngkin the middle finger and said, we don't care what you think. We don't care about your damn executive order. We're going to keep the mandates in place. And I have a feeling that if the parents were to show up and they were to have their discussion and be heard out, I think on the whole, Virginia parents would actually make the right decision and have their kids protected from this virus. So I hope I'm not naive. I hope I'm right about that. I think overall Virginia parents are much more level-headed and much more reasonable than they seem to be by virtue of the fact they voted for this guy. But then again, we all know that Glenn Youngkin, aside from the executive orders he just put out, really has no political record to speak of. What kind of got me turned against him in the beginning was that the fact that he was a business owner. And as a business owner, he's driven by profit. So he's going to bring that to the governorship, and that could spell disaster for Virginians if he just allows businesses to do whatever the fuck they want to people. If he allows them to poison our water, if he allows them to fire people whenever they want for whatever reason they want, adding to Virginia's unemployment, if he allows them to exploit them by paying them poverty wages, if he, doesn't get to work on getting rid of the right to work law. And I'll tell you something right now, Glenn Youngkin, you better listen up and you better listen good. You had better get rid of that right to work law. You have got to work with Virginia's state legislature. Get rid of the right to work law. Allow Virginians to freely unionize without repercussions from the employers. And in fact, what I would do if I were governor, I would have already had put in place saying, hey, employers, if you want to leave, you got a problem with a union forming, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down with your employees and you're going to say, hey, listen, I want to leave because I'm not getting the profits I want, but I want to help you transition to a business of your own so that you can keep job security while I can go seek greener pastures elsewhere. Everybody wins in that sense, right? It's giving back to the community. Nobody loses jobs. The workers don't lose their income. They keep that source. Who knows if they're going to make what they're making before then? Maybe they will. Maybe better. Who knows? But that's a better arrangement than just throwing people to the wolves. But I think that Governor Youngkin, if he really wants to stand out here, he will get to work overturning that right to work law. Probably never going to happen. But he would also, if he was really serious about getting this pandemic under control, he would declare a state of emergency and basically nationalize Virginia's healthcare system and say, hey, Virginia's going to lead the way and do a state-sponsored universal health insurance system and give everybody health care free at the point of service, if only to get through this pandemic. But I guarantee you, if he did that, not only would he become one of the most popular governors in Virginia's history, but he would also become a favorite of people saying, hey, he should run for president. Doing something like that at the state level definitely gets people on your side to run for president. And I know I typically don't like giving Republicans advice, but I'm trying to give Youngkin a little leeway here because he's never held office before. We don't know what he's going to do on the whole. But these 11 executive orders really aren't sounding too good right now. But I'm going to tell the parents out there, don't let his partisan politics or anybody else's partisan politics fool you into thinking you've got to do one thing over the other. Find your way around that if you feel necessary. Find ways to keep your children safe from COVID. You don't want to offer them up as sacrificial lambs just for the sake of getting back to normal, just to sacrifice and please the gods of capitalism or anything like that. Keep them safe. Keep them safe. Now, Youngkin has stressed that as well, but take advantage of any of these loopholes that he puts out there, okay? If he says, I want to give the schools 8 days to listen to the parents, well then, use that. Keep the mandates in place. Parents, go out there and tell the schools. Do it. As for critical race theory, again, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. This is pure partisan pandering. Banning critical race theory, it didn't exist in the first place. It is a college elective. And by the way, Glenn, who's to say that these kids won't learn about it outside of school? Yeah, I never thought about that one, right? You might be able to put cameras on teachers, but you'll never keep them on at everybody at all times. Might be shooting myself there because they're always spying on us online now and everything. But if they wanted to go to a public library and check out a book and look up stuff on that, what are you going to do then? Anyway, these two of those executive orders that he signed so far are just total nonsense. I really don't think they're going to carry much weight. Hopefully he does better moving forward, but I'm not holding my breath. So if this is any indication of what the next 4 years are going to be like, buckle up, Virginia. The next 4 years could be a bumpy ride.